What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about my biggest mistakes that I've made in crypto. And I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you guys because I want to share with you my experience so that in turn I can help you guys so you don't make the same mistakes that I made. So we're going to start out with one of my biggest mistakes with a coin called BAND. So we're going to dive into the charts. We're going to look on CoinMarketCap at this coin. And so first, we're going to go to when I bought this coin. It was trading around 20 cents. I bought this coin in February of 2020. End of January, so around 20 to like 25 cents about. And then this is when I first started trading. And so I was new to trading and I bought about 2,000 of them. So I put in about 400 bucks, bought 2,000 of them. And then I ended up selling it a month or probably less than a month later, around 50 cents or so, 45 cents for about a 2x. So I turned $400 or $500 into about double that. So 800 or 1,000 bucks, which was great. I made a lot of money. But what happened was this coin just started taking off. And within less than 6 months, it went from 20 cents all the way up to, on here it only says 14, but it went up to $20. So it literally did a 100x in 6 months. So my $400 or $500 could have turned into 40 to 50 grand, which I definitely wouldn't have kept it and held on to it for that long. But still, it's crazy the amount that it went up. And so the lesson that I learned from this mistake was do not sell everything at once. That's one of the biggest things I teach is to sell in pieces, sell percentages. So like sell 10% or 5% at a time as it climbs up, because you never know like how high it can go. And if you sell it in those pieces, then you still have the opportunity to buy back in if it does dip. So by selling in pieces, it just creates more opportunities and it prepares you for any situation. Now my number 2 mistake, this is probably my biggest mistake, and it was with this coin called OXT. So OXT is a coin that I've been trading for a long time. I was buying this coin, OXT, between 15, 17 cents, and it wasn't really doing much. And at the time, I was thinking, because it was a $20 million market cap, which is very low. It was on Coinbase. It was a newer coin. I thought it was the lowest market cap on Coinbase. I thought it could easily go up to $1. That was the goal. This thing could go up to $1, so I'm just going to keep stacking more and more of it and just waiting for that day for it to happen. So guess what happens? It's trading sideways for months. So I'm holding on to this coin for 4 to 5 months, just buying more and more and more. So I get up to the point where I had almost 45,000 tokens. So I had about 8 to 9 grand in this one coin. And because I was so confident in it and I thought that it could go to $1. And so I had about 30 or 40% of my portfolio in this one coin, which is something that I don't advise to do as well. But I over diversified and I had all this money in this one coin. Here's where the mistake happened. There's a thing called the Coinbase effect. When Coinbase adds a new coin, what typically happens is the coin will pump like crazy from the announcement and from the listing of the project. And at the time, there's a coin called NMR that got announced that they were listing it onto Coinbase. And from past experiences, I've been able to make money off of these trades called the Coinbase effect, where they add a coin, usually pumps 20, 30% initially, and then once it actually gets listed, it would pump another 30%, 50%, sometimes even more. And I made quite a few good trades with that, and I made some money off of them. And because of those previous ones, one of them being with BAND, which I made a few $1,000s on, I was being greedy and went into a trade with NMR, which was trading around $40 at the time of the listing. It was trading between $45 and $50. So as you can see on this chart right here, it jumped from $20 to 55, or I think it went up to even 70 just from that initial announcement that they were adding it. And so I put in, this is the mistake, I sold 35,000 tokens of my OXT tokens, which was like more than 75% of my holding. Took that $6,000 or so, put it into a trade with this, expecting to make a 20%, 30% trade, and then put it back into OXT and get that much more tokens. That was the plan. This is what happened. The very next day, OXT goes from 20 cents to 30 cents. And I am pissed. I was so mad because I was like, oh my gosh, I know it's going to just keep going up. It's literally going to hit the dollar just like I thought it would. But I didn't want to. It was kind of too late to go back in, put my money back in, because it was a gamble, because then it could have just dropped back down to 20 cents and then I would have been even more mad. So I was like, I just got to take with what I got. I had my 10,000 left. I started selling at 30 cents, sold a little bit at 30 cents. What happened? It continued to go up. It hit 40 cents. Sold some more, 50 cents, sold some more, 60 cents, and sold even more. And then the next day, the very next day, in the middle of the night, it went up all the way exactly to $1 and then started crashing. And I had been selling all the way up, and I even had a perfect sell around $1. I sold my last 2,000 at 98 cents. So it was a beautiful trade, hit all my targets perfectly, and didn't start buying back in. I bought back in at 60 cents because it dropped all the way back down to 60 cents, resold at 75 cents, and I continued playing the bounces because it kept going back down. But I was like, I'm not going to reinvest until I see this thing around 30 cents or so again, not start to put in money back in. And it literally came back down to those 30-cent area. But of course, I had 35,000 additional tokens that I could have been trading with and been selling along the way and made way, way, way more. I think I made about $6,000 to $7,000 on that trade, but had the potential to make between 30 and 40 grand. But because of what I did, I sold out early to try to chase a pump. And guess what NMR did? It went from 55 bucks or 45, 55 bucks, and it just went like this. It didn't even pump at all, like I was expecting it to. So it's a complete flop, did nothing. And so the biggest thing that I learned from this mistake was to not chase pumps, to be confident in your long-term trades that you're holding, and just to stick with them and just be patient with them. Because I had been patient with OXT for months, for 4 to 5 months. And then the one day that I decided to put in money, because I thought about this before, chasing other Coinbase Pro or Coinbase Effect trades. I thought about it before, selling some OXT to rebuy and make more OXT and put in money into a different trade. And every single time I thought that, I was like, no, I can't, because there's the chance that it pumps after I do that. And trade after trade, I was seeing these other trades where I'm like, it didn't happen. I could have put money in, and I could have put money into 3 or 4 different Coinbase Effect trades, and then still would have been fine. And then the one that I decided to do, the very one that I decided to put money in, the next day it goes up. And I'm like, of freaking course. That's what happens in the markets. You can't time them. You gotta just be patient. Whenever you're thinking that you're trying to chase something, you have an idea of this is how it's gonna work. No, that's not how it happens. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I made. And mistake number 3 is going to be about this coin called Nimic. So Nimic is one of these coins that was a very low market cap, still is a very low market cap. It's at $50 million. And I started buying this coin because of another YouTuber named BitBoy. He started talking about it. And this thing went from like 1/10 of a penny or so, or 2/10, all the way up to 1.5 pennies. And the thing I was more interested in was the Satoshi levels. The Satoshi went up to 150 Satoshis and it was trading at 5 to 10 Satoshis when it started. So it did like a 30x or so in Bitcoin value. And so what I did is I bought some after his second video or so, and then I sold it for about a 40% increase, rebought it here at like the 7/10 of a penny, and then just did little trades here and there. And as it dipped lower and lower, I just bought more and more and more and more, and it just kept going lower and lower and lower. And I got to the point where I was trading it a lot, and so I made a lot of coins off of it, but it became one of my biggest holdings and was around 30% of my portfolio was in this one coin, which is something that's the mistake, is having too much in one coin, even if you're super confident and bullish on it. Because I researched it, I loved the team, loved what they were doing, and so I was just super bullish on it. And it just, like I said, it just kept dropping, and I was trading along the way, making good trades. But while I was making good trades here, just little trades here and there, other coins were pumping up crazy percentages, hundreds of percentages, and I was seeing other friends making tons of money elsewhere while I was sitting on this huge bag just doing nothing with Nimic. And I was just like, man, this is just stupid. And the other thing is, I didn't want to make the same mistake as OXT and sell a huge chunk of it into something else, because I had the feeling that it would just do the same thing, where it would just completely go up like crazy just because I did that. So I just waited and waited, and it did start to have these moments where it started to pump. And this is when I was taking profits too, because I just waited for a really long time and kept trading it and buying more. And then once it started to go up, it did like a 3x. I was selling big portions of it to start to diversify more and to get more into other coins. And it ended up doing a 5+x. And that's in the dollar value. The Bitcoin value only did about a 3x from its lowest point, which I'm more interested in the Bitcoin value doing these crazy pumps. And so I still have a little bit left of Nimic, but it's definitely not one of my biggest holdings. So that's one of the things that I learned, is to diversify and don't put too much into one coin, no matter how bullish you are on it, because there's always the chance that it just doesn't really do much and other coins will outperform big time. You want to make sure that you're diversified in your portfolio. The last thing is, when I started to leverage trade, I made a big mistake. Leverage trading for a few months, and I would trade Bitcoin with 5x leverage and 10x leverage, and I was doing pretty well with it, and I turned a few $100 into 1,500 and made good returns on it. And then I started to get a little bit greedy with it, and I started to do more than just Bitcoin, and I would do a little bit of Ethereum leverage trading. And then I did an XRP leverage trade, and this is where the mistake happened. So the reason I did a XRP leverage trade was because this is when the SEC announced that they were doing a case with XRP, and so the price dropped from 50 or 75 cents, I can't remember, all the way down to 20 or 30 cents. And once it reached that 30 cents is when I started to go on a long position for it. And the mistake that I made is I used a 5x leverage. So if it went down 20%, I would get liquidated. So from 30 cents down to about 24 cents, I could get liquidated and lose everything. Now, I did play it smart by not putting in the whole position at once. I put in about 20%. Then I put in another order at 27 cents if it hit that, to bring my liquidation price lower and lower and lower. Had all my orders down to 23 or 22 cents, just so if it got down to those prices, I wouldn't get liquidated. And here it goes, it starts crashing. And at the time too, I was going to an escape room to do one of those escape rooms with my family and friends. And those escape rooms, you're locked up for an hour and you have to turn off your phone. we're driving over to the escape room and I see it just tank, and I'm like, I just got like this horrible feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get liquidated. I just know it. And I'm panicking, and it's too late at that point to try to send money over because it's quick. If it drops and hits those prices, you'll just get liquidated and you'll lose that. And I didn't have time to send any more money over to prevent that from happening. And what happens is it goes all the way down, hits those 22 cents, and my liquidation price is at like 22 or 21.5 cents, and it literally drops all the way down exactly to 21 cents where I get liquidated. And I'm in this escape room when this happens, and I'm like, oh man, I just know I'm gonna look at my phone and see what happens. I look at my phone, I got liquidated, and I'm like, oh, it's the worst feeling ever. And this is the biggest mistake, because I knew that doing leverage trading was risky already, but doing leverage trading with altcoins is even riskier because of the volatility of the altcoins. So I learned that I was not going to continue doing leverage trading, and if I were to do it ever again, I would stick with much lower leverage, and I would not do any leverage trading for altcoins. I would just stick with Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin I was successful for months. I was making consistently good trades, would have some losses here and there, but overall I was winning more than I was losing. And as soon as I switched to altcoins, boom, I just got liquidated within the first couple days. And so I stopped leverage trading at that point. But yeah, mistakes are gonna happen in the crypto space. Doesn't matter how good of a trader you are, how smart you are with the charts and learning how this works, but you're just gonna make mistakes. I continue to make mistakes, and you just gotta learn from them. Write down your mistakes, keep notes, and just learn from all the experiences you have. These mistakes have led me to be a much better trader and to do things a lot different than I used to. And I'm grateful for the mistakes, and I embrace them when they happen, because you're just going to get better and better when it comes to trading and learning from yourself and having these experiences. So embrace the mistakes, learn from me, don't make these same mistakes. In summary, the things that I learned from these were: don't sell everything at once, sell in chunks. Number 2, don't chase any other pumps and be confident in these long-term trades you have. And number 3, don't put too much into one coin, even if you're super bullish on it long-term, because you need to diversify and have many different opportunities. And then number 4 is, if you're going to leverage trade, don't leverage trade altcoins. Just stick with Bitcoin and use low leverage. So yeah, those are my biggest mistakes with crypto, and I appreciate you guys for watching. And remember, as always, keep it in the green.